Joining me now to talk about this is retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel James Carafano. Lieutenant Colonel, thank you so much. I believe you were once stationed at Fort McNair, were you not? So you can speak to the vulnerability of this. And are you surprised that Iran would discuss an attack on U.S. soil?
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting sides to the story. So, yeah, I was stationed at Fort McNair. So it's at the confluence of the Anacostia and Potomac rivers, and the houses for senior officers and generals is actually right along the shoreline. So you would say, well, this sounds like a pretty lucrative target. Think about Mumbai, just, run up with some guys and jump in there and kill people. But I don't think that's actually a very practical attack vector. I mean, it might have been before 9/11, but something like that, I don't think that water is actually monitored now and the coastline's monitored. I don't think it would get close. But what's really interesting is, why is the NSA saying that they're this? Maybe they're trying to spook the Iranians, say, hey, dude, we're listening to your stuff, because normally we don't reveal sources and methods. But maybe they're trying to scare the Iranians off, because the last thing the Biden administration wants is a confrontation with the Iranians. But it is also consistent with Iranian behavior since Biden got elected, is they are following the lead of the Russians and the Chinese and the North Koreans, taunting and testing this administration.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Well, the general consensus is these threats come as a result of the seeking of revenge for the killing of Soleimani in Baghdad in 2020, in January of 2020. And they haven't been satisfied, we're told, or led to believe, with what they've achieved so far, which is basically nothing. I think they tried to hit a base in Iraq that did very little damage, injured some people, but not seriously. So this is why they're getting increasingly patient. But they generally don't do things themselves. They do it by proxy, right, which would seem even more unlikely on U.S. soil.
Well, let's not forget, there was an Iranian plot, which was a real plot. They wanted to hire somebody to come and kill the Saudi ambassador in Cafe Milano, in a restaurant in Georgetown, and they would have killed maybe dozens of bystanders. They had real plots to attack real targets in Western Europe. All of these have failed, but these were real, serious Iranian plots. And you might say, well, why would the Iranians do this? Biden has rushed in and said, I want to come back. I want to let you out of jail. I want to give you a deal. Because the Iranians are in a culture where honor is power. And they want not just the U.S. to come back to a deal, but they want the U.S. to come back humiliated and to crawl back to a deal. And it's more important for them to punish us than to get back in the deal. Iranians are like the North Koreans. They say, well, we ate grass once, we'll eat it again. Of course, they're not eating grass, right? But they're perfectly willing to let their people suffer if they can show that they are strong. And so it doesn't surprise me at all that they actually might seriously want to do terrorist attacks on American soil.
But if they did something this bold and brash, they know the might of the U.S. military will come down on them, right? Or will it? Would Joe Biden respond with strength?
Well, look, I mean, this, I think, is an open question for them and the North Koreans and the Chinese and the Russians. He seems distracted. He doesn't seem focused on issues. He seems like he wants to avoid foreign policy because he's working on the domestic agenda. They're not sure that this is a president that will boldly strike back, and they're testing that. And the Iranians are a little more reckless in this than some of the others. So, again, I would not be surprised if it was serious. But, again, I think if the NSA said this, they're just trying to let these guys know, hey, dude, we're watching you. And maybe they hope that's the end of it right there.
Well, let's hope so. Interesting stuff. Great stuff. Lieutenant Colonel James Carafano, as always, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching the Heritage Foundation's YouTube channel. With more than 500,000 members, we are the nation's largest conservative research and education institution. We believe the principles and ideas of the American founding are worth conserving and renewing. Please help us further our mission by subscribing to this channel and sharing our videos with your family and friends.